There we go. Yo, listen, hold up. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna tell you the live. I guess live only goes for an hour,
Okay.
and then it's shut down. So we good. So we got another hour, and we knock this shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So listen. All right. So before we hung up, we was talking about Father Shaheed and Juice, and you said the legendary DJ Juice. You guys went to him to join the group, and you didn't get a good response, so y'all had to move on. In so many words, he just
he was, you know, Juice was always this larger than life figure. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was Juice is definitely a one-man show. You know what I mean? So trying to put him in the group, you know what I mean? It you know, after a while it didn't make sense. You know what I mean? But because he was too busy performing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we already knew who he was, what he could do. We just was trying to see if he wanted to gel with us, but he was just, you know, cutting and, yo, this how I'm about to come out at the Father Rocco Park when they have the fair, and I'm gonna come out like this. He's doing his whole routine. We like, yo, man, what you want to do?
And then he had the Hummer and the Hummer chain with the tape on it. It was just it was too much going on for y'all. Yeah,
but see, at that time, he didn't have that name. Now he was just somebody who was battling somebody, man. He always had that same personality when he didn't have a cent. You know what I mean? He just was. When it came to them turntables, it was showtime. So we left there, and after that, he met Sha, and Sha was like, you know, Sha was in, you know. And when we went to the studio, he was ready. He had his records. I mean, most of the hooks you heard on the earlier records, like Holy Intellect, Rock This Funky Joint, and the rest of them, Sha, he was formulating those hooks. We'll come to him, you know, this is the song, blah, blah, blah. Or he'll be in the studio, listen, take the songs home. Next thing you know, we back in the studio, and he's putting everything in. You know what I mean? So
now, when you say formulating the hooks, you mean you guys would give him the hook, and he just scratching it and then rock?
Nah, he come up with his own thing.
The lyrics.
Yeah, he comes up with the scratches. We already had the title of the song, but he would come up with, you know, the Rock This Funky Joint from the It's the Joint from the Funky 4 Plus One More.
Right.
And then Rock That from you know, Public Enemy. So he kind of knew records and all that stuff. So Sha kind of knew what to, you know, he knew what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, he knew what to do.
It was a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
In a sense, everybody played their position to make that record what it was.
Yeah.
You got Wise with the phenomenal lyrics.
Yeah.
You got you chiming in, you know, being that extra, you know, you was like the Freaky Zeke of the late 80s, the early 90s. You was the super duper hype man that came and gave some lyrics when needed.
Yeah. And it was more like, you know, the song that we came up with, Rock This Funky Joint, we got it from Do the Right Thing.
Right.
You know, when the mayor went into the store and he went and got the Miller High Life beer, and they was out of it, and he was like, "Y'all better get some more Miller High Life than this funky joint."
Right.
And, you know, everybody erupted in the movie because, you know, back then, I mean, the movies used to be smack. You know, that was one of the places. So everybody erupted, everybody started laughing. So we was like, okay, you know what I mean? And I just kept doing that all that night, like imitating them. And then we get up to the studio. Wise like, listen, I got something. You know, you're gonna do this right here. We're gonna do this like here.
So that was your voice that said, "Rock this funky joint." Yeah. That's your voice.
So I was imitating, but I was imitating the mayor from Do the Right Thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just all came together. We all was laughing, and then, you know, Sha came in with his cuts. You know, everybody just brought some flavor, you know, because I actually was you know, like I said earlier, I was the producer. So me and Wise was used to working together. I knew the lyrics. And when we done those first couple of records, we played them for people, and they was like, yo, I like that. I like that chemistry y'all got. I like the way Culture coming in and out. And this and that. So we was like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we kind of, we stuck with that. And, you know, when it was time for me to say some lyrics, because people was like, yo, Coach, I want to hear you on this. You know, yeah, you walk in the street, people like, yeah, man, I heard you. So I would just do more and more, but we kind of stuck with that concept for a while for the first couple of records with Tony D producing, Shaheed doing the cuts, Wise doing what he was doing. Sometimes I would sing, whatever was called for, I would do it. Because you know, like I said, Biz Markie was one of the first artists that I, you know, start buying his records. And he had a cat named TJ Swan that used to Fly Kid. Yeah, Fly Kid used to wear valleys and all that. So it was like, you know, if TJ Swan could sing, I could sing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was
nobody beats the Biz.
Yeah.
My name is TJ Swan. Nobody beats the Biz. Yeah. What?
So that was the flavor.
So hip hop, crazy.
So it was acceptable at that time. You know what I mean? If the hook called for some singing, then I was like, forget it. You know, we going for it. It wasn't like we calling up some R&B person or something. It was like we singing, we harmonizing, we doing whatever. So it was more about having fun. So that's how those records and everything we recorded for that first album ended up on the album. Like everything we recorded. So we didn't have like, you know, a bunch of songs. Everything we recorded ended up on there.
Okay, so, and this is good right here for my timeline. What I'm saying is, all of these good records from Rock This Funky Joint, Time to Say Peace, Butt Naked, Booty Blessed. Yeah. How do you guys get discovered? Tony D is already producing.
Yeah.
So how do you guys in a city full of competition? Real quick, I want you just to name a couple groups in the city at the time before y'all got your deal that you would say that was your competition in town.
Our competition
in town, like somebody that's kind of doing the same thing.
Well, like I said before, you know, it was Too Cool Posse. They was already on Profile. They had a single deal actually, right?
Okay.
And you know, Tony D, him and Gino, they had a song together. It was a funny story because Waz was saying one day he was with his girl at the time and they was walking up through Dolly Holmes and she saw Gino and she wanted to get his autograph. You know?
Waz was tight.
Yeah, so yeah, he said he was tight about that. So you know, he let her get it. You know, he let her get it, but you know, he laughed about it now. But you know, Tony did, but we really didn't see him as competition.
Yeah.
Because the wave we was on was kind of different.
Right.
But, you know, we still, because, you know, he battled Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Wise battled
Don't go. Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my next question. But I just want to know. Okay, so you really only had one group that you kind of saw, like, and you ain't really see him as competition. But who discovered you guys? Like, after those records was done, how did you just get the deal?
Well, at the time, and let me give these guys a credit. You had MC Diamond D. You had Diamond and Uzi, because there was a group called the Ammunition Posse, right?
Okay, and where are they from? The town?
They were from, most of them was from Sweets Avenue.
Okay, all right.
Right?
Okay.
And all of them had the names of guns.
Right.
So you had Diamond the Uzi, Divine the Human 9. You know, all these dudes had the 22. And before they would rap, they would sound like guns. You know, so it'd be like 22, cap, 38, pow, pow. You know, and then they'll come on, but it was like 10 of them. You know what I mean? So they was sort of like how Wu-Tang was back then, because it was so many of them.
Right.
And but they were older guys. You know what I mean? They was like 5 years older than us or whatever. So, and then you had Omar Superstar, who was nasty. You had General Lee from down Passaic Street. He was super nasty. But all these guys were older. The one thing I think with me and Wise is that we decided that we were going to be serious about it, like record deal. Like some people was like, you know, I rhyme, I'm nice, but I'm not really trying to pursue that. So I think that was the thing. It was a guy by the name of Eric IQ Gray. And he was it was a group, actually it was a cats who had a record 3 buildings down from me. And it was a guy named Tiz T and James Lee. And they had a record, and he was putting their records out at first. You know, so we stepped to him and we was like, listen, we got these demos, we got this, you know, put our record out. Because we just wanted to be on record. We wanted to be out.
Right.
And he was like, all right, bet. It took him, you know, about a month or so. He had to scrape up the money, you know, because it was homegrown thing. And he put the record out, and it was on Northside Records. And eventually he took the record up to New York, and Red Alert played it. Red Alert heard it, he liked it, he played it. That's back then when DJs was trying to break records.
Right.
You know, so he heard it, Chuck Chill Out was playing it, but Red was really burning it. And Profile heard it because Red Alert was playing it. And he was like, you know, who's those guys, you know what I mean? And so they set up an interview, set up a meeting or whatever. We went up there, we met them. They told us, you know, we're willing to do a single deal on you because at the time all we had was, you know, Time to Say Peace and the other joint. And then we was like, cool. We was like, bet, that's the way in.
Now let me ask you this real quick. Back then, what did a single deal consist of? Was it just one song or it was a and B side?
It was an A and B.
Okay. So
yeah.
Time to Say Peace and Butt Naked Booty Blessed was the B side.
Yeah.
So this is before Rock This Funky Joint.
Rock This Funky Joint hasn't been made yet.
Okay. All right.
So
how did that single do?
It done well. See, the thing of it is that once we went back and we started recording again, some music got leaked to them, and they was like, we want to do a whole thing on them. It's like scratch the single. We want to do a whole thing on it because we went back and we made start making Holy Intellect and all those other songs. And it was like, because we was like, it was like either this or the streets or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because our mind was made up. This is what we're going to do. Like, this was our way. So when we went back to the studio, we went charged with more energy. Like, yo, we got a record, because at this time, Run DMC was on that label. Special Ed was on that label. King Son was on there.
What label is this?
Profile Records. It was the largest
big
independent. So we was like, we on the same label as our heroes at the time. So we was so psyched up. We went back in the studio like, we nasty. You know what I'm saying?
But listen though.
Yeah.
With all the hype and being on the same level as the Special Ed, which I love, that was my favorite rapper back in the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, was there an advance at this time, or was it just let's see how the record does before?
Nah. They gave us a small advance, man. You know what I'm saying?
Give the youth the idea of what was an advance like in the late '80s and '90s.
I mean, an advance was everything. I mean, if
I'm talking about what was the amount.
The amount, I mean, it could be anywhere from like 50,000, something like that.
Okay, so that's 50,000 to split between three guys?
Well, it's the producer, the lawyer, three guys, paid for the studio time, everything else.
Man, so y'all might have bust down about 7 G's each.
Yeah, we were still in the projects on our first tour, you know what I mean? The tour bus dropped us right back off where they picked us up.
Oh, man, you telling me y'all would tour the world and get dropped back off in front of Divine Land?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the money has to be recouped and so on. So we really didn't spend money we didn't have. So after it was all said and done, we wasn't in the hole. You know what I mean? We didn't have a super stack of money, but we wasn't in the hole neither. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it never was a situation where we didn't recoup the money, or we went out and bought all these houses and cars that we couldn't afford and got into debt. It was just we didn't do anything until we went back in to record the second one because we didn't know what was going to happen.
That's true.
But after the tours and stuff like that's more the money that you keep. So they might have gave us that, but then when you're doing shows for like 10 G's a while, 20 G's here, you know what I mean, at the time, and if you was huge, because the tour we went on was when Ice Cube left NWA, we went on that tour with him. Right. So, we went on the America's Most Wanted tour.
Gangster.
You know what I mean?
So you guys are touring from the East Coast to the West Coast, down south, or just
East Coast, West Coast, Deep South, North, everywhere. Went Chicago, everywhere.
So back then there was no 360. You guys got your show money.
No.
So there was no label saying y'all getting 20,000, we getting a cut of that.
Nah, because us, Special Ed, Chub Rock, we all had the same manager. Right. So the management, they would get a percentage. Then we would pay the road manager, obviously, because they done been to all these spots before, so they making sure we get to the in-stores, you know, because we didn't have social media, so you had to do everything up front live, you know, so we had to meet the fans, talk to them, impress them, sign autographs, you know, this, that, and the third, do radio and all of that stuff to promote the show. So, you know, it got bust down that way. You know, you had a tour bus, you had to pay for the bus. If you drove over a certain amount of miles, then you had to pay more and all this other stuff. Yeah. So, you know, you really
you're a married man now, and blessings to your queen. But during this time, it's a lot of groupies. It's a lot of hotels.
I knew that question was coming. That question was coming. I knew that question was coming.
Come on, man. Listen, you know what it is right now? It may be a young guy watching this, and he don't know what's to come when he get on that road. He don't know that life. He don't know that money. He don't know that limelight brings sometimes some demons that you don't.
Yeah,
you can't control.
I'm honestly say not really. You know what I'm saying? We hung out with a lot of females, and this was before. You know, we hung out with a lot of females. You know, obviously, you know, but see, HIV had just hit. You know what I mean? Magic Johnson just came out, said he had AIDS, this, that, and that. So we was like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Y'all was preaching uplift the black queen, so I don't know if y'all brothers was really savage behind it.
Nah. We talked to females we knew. You know, so it was like the females in the town got all the love, you know. But we, you know, we made relationships like, you know, with people out of town, you know, females we kept in touch with, you know, in the beginning. But you know, nothing like we no orgies, none of that stuff. We didn't.
None of that crazy stuff that you're saying. Okay.
No.
All right. So my last question on that is touring in the States, but any overseas PRT tours?
Yeah, we
England,
did
Russia, any of that.
We did a European tour. We went to toured Germany, you know, did shows in London, Munich, Munich, Germany, Holland. I still got the flyer from the tour, like posters. Actually, I still got posters from the tour.
Right, that's dope.
So yeah, we hit up all those spots. We went over there twice.
But how do you feel when you see the Russians or you're in Europe and you know you're a guy from the projects? How are you feeling as a kid? Because you guys was kids at that time.
Yeah.
How are you feeling way overseas and they shouting your name and y'all on stages with some of the top artists? Do you feel like, damn, like this happened overnight for us, or how are you feeling at that time?
Our physical performance got better.
Right.
Because we didn't know the language. You know what I'm saying? I would try to hang with people like before the show, like, yo, how you say throw your hands in the air.
Right.
Or how you respond to say yes, or whatever. You know, how you say this and that. So we would kind of chop it up and kind of, you know, try to get some words so we can incorporate it into our show. But mainly because there was a language barrier, our body movements and our energy, you know, played a big part in how we moved the crowd. So I learned how to entertain physically more, you know, over there, because we couldn't just stand there and try to communicate. We had to actually show them, you know, physically what we wanted them to do. Yeah. You know, so it was that kind of thing.
Y'all gotta be like that, so they feeling it.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what you're saying.
Because they looking at each other like, you know, so it to me, like after a while, like you mentioned Russia, it was these rappers over there from Russia, and after the show, they was kind of hanging out and looking at us, like every movement we was making, they was kind of like making the same movements, you know, looking, laughing with each other. Right. And I was like, yo, man, you know, that's not cool, you know? Yeah. Because I felt like it was like
they was biting.
Not only that, it just felt like, you know, it was some kind of research. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Like, you know, we sit like this, you know, they sitting, you know, I'm like, yo, this is real weird, you know what I mean? Right. You know, but other than that,
that's a good experience.
Because we had a show in Buffalo with a boot camp.
Okay.
And we had a show at Syracuse University. Right. And I mean, it was smacked up in there. We had Rozzy with us. We took Rozzy on tour with us.
That's my guy. I just seen him in L.A.
Yeah,
Seen him in L.A.
Yeah, we took him with us. And when we came back, that was one of the first shows we had. And Boot Camp was out there. We was downstairs. We ain't hearing the crowd nothing. And they came back down and they was like, man, that crowd is dead. You know, they just ain't.
Right.
Man, we went up there, man, and just
killed it.
You know, Wise got up there. This one just went slamming the funky joint we put together. You know, he started doing that. And I started hitting the beatbox. Rozzy started doing stuff on top of it. Before the music even came in, we was already like, we still had that energy from being over there. So we started jumping around and all that. Then the music came on. And all you heard was the crowd just. So when we came back downstairs, they was just like.
And you talking about the legendary Boot Camp clique.
They was just like, what? They was just like, what? It wasn't that, because, you know, they was popping. It wasn't that.
And they had hits. Buckshot was that nigga.
Yeah, but, you know, the physical, the performance, you know what I'm saying? Like, the performance, that's what I tell a lot of people, man. You know, a lot of people make dope records, but they don't know how to perform their records.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, in the studio, you don't have to perform your record. You just spitting the lyrics, so you might be spitting there all calm and cool in the booth, but that don't translate well when it comes to a live show. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's to me, that was the biggest thing that stood out about rocking overseas, is that coming back, even though people understood what we were saying, we still brought that visual, you know, to them. So, you know, it was a culture shock and all that, because, you know, we couldn't read, you know, Dutch or whatever the stuff was. So we had my brother with us. He was kind of translating and doing all of that. And it was just, you know, after a while, it was like, yo, let's get back.
Let's get back to the States where
because going on. Like we said earlier, you know, we knew what not to eat because we could read, and it was all in English and all that, but you know, over there, you know, it was like, yo, we don't, unless the person at the place was cooking for us, like, you know, at the venues, you know, they would have chefs there cooking, but other than that, we had to go for ourselves, you know, so.
So it's safe to say y'all probably had a little swine over there, because you ain't know the
Nah, I wouldn't say that. Nah, we had no swine. I mean, you know what pig, you know what meat looked like, because all of us were pescatarians.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we didn't.
Still to this day?
Yeah.
To this day?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, we don't eat any meat anyway. Just fish without, fish with scales.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, if we saw like a piece of ham or, you know, whatever, you know, we wasn't messing with it. But I think one time somebody thought something was a fish sandwich or something like that. They was like, they brought it out of one of them machines, had to throw it.
Right.
We ain't need no pork, man.
Okay. All right. So the question of the day. A lot of people. I've been in every barbershop in Trenton when VIP was open. When barbershop, Mason's barbershop. You know, whether you go downtown, barbershop next to the Byron's clothing store, whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody talking this Jay-Z and Wise stuff, but I can never get stories. I only hear myths.
Yeah.
And was you there tonight, Jay-Z and Wise battle? Was it a real battle, or was they just ciphering spitting verses? Like, what was it?
It was a battle.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna tell you what happened.
Yeah, tell me the story.
It's I don't know if you know Gary King, Boo Boo. He got, like, right now he has like one eye. He wears a patch sometimes. Gary King. If you go on the internet and you put in Jay-Z and Trenton, you're gonna see a picture of Gary King from Trenton bending down and Jay-Z kind of over top of him with a big.
Did they call him Baby?
Nah, that's his brother.
Okay.
That was Gary's brother. Because Gary was a gambler back then. So, you know, everybody knew him. He knew Jay. And actually, I'll tell you a story about that. But anyway, me and Gary used to, you know, cut sometimes together. And he was like, yo, I'm bringing this rapper around here for Wise. You know what I mean? Because I would talk Wise up, you know, like you would do, talk your man up. And he was like, I got somebody for him. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? And he, you know, at the time, Jazz had his thing going, so he was kind of like the star.
Right.
And he came and knocked on my door, and it's him and Jay-Z, right? So he was like, yo, where your man at? So I was like, okay. I called Wise up, but then my mom was like, you know, wasn't nobody, no stars enough. She was like, y'all not doing this in here tonight. You know, she said, I don't hear no noise in here tonight.
Right.
So we took it outside to the parking lot. You know,
right.
so when we went outside to the parking lot, everybody seen us stand around doing this and that, and they just said it. You know what I mean? Jay-Z, that's when he was doing that little, you know,
all that shit, right?
Yeah, he was like, I take it back. I was like, oh, yo, this gonna be a good one. You know what I mean? And cause up to that point,
no, hold up. So you was feeling that style, because a lot of people try to downplay that style. When he started kicking all that ziggity zag,
because
that shit, he was fucking with it.
He reminds you more like Kane. You know, back then, because Kane was Jay-Z's man. So, and they kind of came from the same place, you know what I mean, around the same area. So he you know, Jay had that style. And it wasn't until like his third verse where he started doing that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, if you didn't think this cat was battle worthy, you wasn't just going to give him, you know, your best stuff. So, you know, Jay did his stuff and everybody was like, okay, you know, and then Wise came, then Jay came with another one, and then Jay-Z went, I'm wicked it. And he was like, okay. Then I could see, you know, to me, it was a good one, because back then you could tell that like Rakim had a heavy influence on Wise.
Right.
So it was like seeing Kane and Rakim go at it almost, you know. It was a real good battle. I don't personally think anybody lost or won.
Okay,
you know? I just thought, if you like hearing knowledge, because Wise was kicking knowledge to him, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, and then Jay was saying funny stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, Jay was like, you know, I'll do this to you and do that, you know. Right. And Wise was like trying to, you know, psychoanalyzing.
Yeah, trying to outwit him.
Yeah, you know, he was like, you're not Big Daddy, you big dummy. Speak up, Trenton, and tell him he can't run me. You know, this is the kind of stuff that Wise was saying. And Jay was like, you know, I'll pluck your head to bed. You know what I mean?
So these are real lyrics you remember.
Yeah, I remember some of them. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it was, you know, it was funny. Like, you know, it was dope, though. It was, you know, I could tell it was a mutual respect after it was done. And I stayed up with Jay, and he started letting me hear some of the stuff he was doing, and it was studio quality. You know what I mean? Wow. And that we was like, yo, you know, we gotta make sure the stuff we recording is, we can't no more of this in the house stuff. You know, we gotta go to the studio. So, you know, that was the takeaway from that battle. And I remember I sold Jay one of my chains so we could get studio time. You know, and he was like, yeah, bet. You know,
wait. You had a chain. Sold it to Jay-Z for studio time.
He's wearing it.
How much did you buy that chain for? Was it a couple hundred, couple thousand?
I think he gave me like 700, something like that at the time. It was a little Turkish chain, you know.
Yeah.
I ain't selling my medallion. I kept my medallion because it had my face on it. So I wasn't, you know, I didn't feel comfortable selling that. So I just sold him the chain. And, you know, we went and got more studio time. I think that's when we recorded some of the other joints. And we had a cool relationship, man, you know, because I just go by his grandmother's house, or it was either his aunt or his grandmother's house out East Trenton. And I go over there and we just sit, chop it up, talk about big dreams, getting on it. You know, I'm telling him, like, you know.
Was he a cool nigga?
Definitely.
Like, down to earth?
Definitely.
Was he really getting money in Trenton?
Definitely. I mean, he talked about it, you know what I mean? But see, at that point, D. Haven was the guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? D. Haven was the, you know, he was the guy. Jay was his man. And, you know, you could tell that, you know, they were super close, but D. Haven was the guy. You know what I'm saying? So
and Jay was his man, so he made sure his man was good.
He made sure he was good. And, you know, Jay was just that fly kid with, you know, with lyrics.
Okay.
You know, that was, you know, he was doing his little thing, but he wasn't as immersed in it, and understandably so, because he was an artist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you know how that go. You know.
But, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I've been around a lot of kingpin niggas and niggas that get money. Now, what they may do is say, hey, here goes something to get you some sneakers, and you know what I'm saying?
But it wasn't. I wasn't on that level, because Jay was his own dude.
Yeah.
It was definitely a hierarchy when it came to D-Haven. It was obvious that D-Haven was
right.
You know, he was that guy. Like, you know what I mean? So
and I appreciate you, man, because I finally got a real story, a real answer from somebody that was there, and not to your name used to come up in it, like your culture was there, but just how it all played out with Jay and them knocking on your door for the battle is even more validity to the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, my fans and everybody that's watching. We finally got our answer to this. Culture Freedom from Poor Righteous Teacher says it really wasn't a win. He felt like it was like early Rakim and Kane going against each other. He got to witness greatness right before his eyes.
People are going to say certain things because you're not coming to Trenton and coming out of there with no win. You know what I mean? It's like, so, you know, in their eyes, Wise got him. You know what I mean? But I'm speaking from just a pure artist perspective. You know, some people might get mad about that, but, you know, Jay, it was obvious that both of them was elite MCs. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no just, you know, just taking Jay. It wasn't just no taking Wise. It's either you like that verse, I like that verse, and, you know, that kind of a thing. But we stayed in touch because eventually we all met up on tour and all of that stuff, and we would see Jay and them in certain cities, and it was all good because it was like,
it was love. So Rockefeller Jay with reasonable doubt Jay, y'all would see him during this time, 96, 95? Or
no, we would see him when he still was trying to get to that point. You know, he was coming out with the jazz. So Jazz
original flavors and all of that.
Yeah, Jazz would let original flavors and all that. So Jazz would let him perform on part of his set. You know, so Jazz was still trying to get Jay out there, but see, Jay ended up being the guy that was in the back that eventually once he got his shot, you know, because it was evident to me he was nasty, but he just didn't have the deal.
Right.
You know, but once he got it, you know, people say this and that. I just don't. I never met that person that people be talking about. You know what I mean? So I can't say he's this way or that way. The person I met wasn't like that. So, you know, that's all I can say about that. You know, I'm not from Marcy, so I don't know what his rep was in Marcy.
Yeah. But you're just saying when you met him, you felt like he was authentic. And
he was when he was down here, the guys he was rolling with. If he was a shady dude, he would have got exposed because he was around people with names that was credible. So he did get shot at in Trenton because he said it in a rhyme. Yeah,
he said 3 shots, close range, never touch me, divine intervention.
Yeah. So like I said, if he was moving funny, anybody that came to Trenton that was moving funny, eventually, you know, somebody let him know, like, you know, you done wore out your welcome.
Right.
You feel me?
Okay.
So
I mean, you answered that. You answered that real well.
Because Dapper Dan and all of them came through there.
Right.
So Dapper Dan, he had to come down and see who was buying all that Gucci and all that Louis. And, you know, he came through the projects, was chilling out there. We know he was talking, kicking it with that and all that. So, you know, everybody, you know, they used to come through there. And, you know, Trenton showed love. If you was from Philly, you was from wherever, you can come through, cats show you love like we still do.
Right.
You know, it's still that thing where, okay, if everything is love, but don't, you know, like anywhere. I would imagine it's like that in Marcy, it's like that in Brooklyn or wherever.
You know,
exactly. you get love if you with the right people moving right. But if you moving funny, you know, people gonna let you know. Yeah.
Right. All right, so how influential was Ace Records Shop to you guys and Sound of Trenton? Did y'all acknowledge Sound of Trenton? Did y'all do anything down there?
Sound of Trenton was big. Sound of Trenton, they were big, but Ace was in the hood.
That's what I'm saying.
Sound of Trenton was downtown. It was central. It was it was central, so everybody could meet down there. But Ace was in the hood on the boulevard, so you could just walk down and get a CD. You know what I mean? Get a tape. Yeah. So Ace was huge.
Now, was he on the Bully or was it Brunswick? Which one?
He was on Brunswick Avenue. No, he was on the boulevard. No, Brunswick Avenue was like on the other side of the park, right?
Right.
No, he was actually on the boulevard. He was right there on the boulevard.
Right.